The snow had already begun to fall when they rejected her. Soft at first, almost gentle, as if the world itself hesitated to witness what was about to happen. The great courtyard of Frostville Pack stood illuminated beneath towering iron braziers, their flames snapping violently in the cold wind. Wolves from every rank had gathered for the moon assembly, warriors in fur-lined armor, elders wrapped in heavy cloaks, omegas pressed tightly together near the edges like shadows that did not belong. At the center of it all stood Leora. She should not have been there. Omegas never stood at the center. They were servers, healers, caretakers, useful only in silence. Yet the moon goddess had other plans, cruel or merciful, Leora could not yet tell. She felt it the moment the Alpha King stepped into the courtyard. A pull. Sharp, sudden, devastating. Her breath caught painfully in her chest, knees trembling as something unseen wrapped itself around her heart and tightened. The world tilted, sound muffled, colors blurring at the edges. The bond. Her wolf, weak, quiet, barely more than a whisper her entire life, stirred in terror and awe. Mate. No. Impossible. She lifted her eyes slowly. Alpha King Kalen Frostborn descended the stone steps with the confidence of a ruler who had never doubted himself. Tall, broad, battle-scarred, his presence bent the air around him. His silver-black cloak trailed behind like the shadow of a storm, his golden eyes sharp enough to cut. The pack parted instinctively, and then he stopped, directly in front of her. The silence that followed was absolute. Leora felt every gaze snap toward her like whips. Her thin gray dress, already worn and mended too many times, felt suddenly unbearable against her skin. She clasped her hands together to stop them from shaking. This wasn't meant for her. She was wolfless, or so everyone believed. She had never shifted, never howled, never claimed even the smallest scrap of power. The moon goddess had made a mistake. Kalen inhaled deeply. His eyes widened just a fraction. Recognition. The bond flared violently between them, silver-white light burning briefly beneath Leora's skin before she could suppress the cry rising in her throat. Gasps tore through the crowd. An Omega. This must be a trick. She can't even shift. The moon has gone mad. Leora's face burned as whispers turned sharp and cruel. Her heart hammered painfully against her ribs, torn between terror and a desperate, foolish hope. Kalen felt it too. She knew he did. For one fragile moment she thought, maybe he'll listen to the bond. Maybe rank won't matter. Then his jaw hardened. The warmth vanished from his eyes, replaced by something cold and calculating. This ends now, Kalen said. His voice carried across the courtyard, steady and merciless. The words struck harder than the snow-laced wind. I am Alpha King of Frostville, he continued. My mate must be strong, a bearer of power worthy of this pack, this throne. His gaze dropped to her like a blade. You are none of those things. The laughter came suddenly. Not everyone, but enough. A ripple at first, then louder, crueler, unchecked. Leora flinched as if struck. Look at her, someone scoffed. She thought she'd be queen. A wolfless Omega. Pathetic. Her wolf whimpered inside her chest, shrinking back into the familiar silence. Kalen raised one hand. The laughter stopped instantly. I reject you, he said. The words detonated inside her. Pain exploded through her chest, blinding and white-hot, ripping through the fragile bond like torn flesh. Leora cried out as her knees buckled, the stone beneath her vanishing as she collapsed forward. She hit the ground hard. Snow dusted her hair and lashes, melting against her tear-streaked face. I reject you, Kalen repeated, louder now, formal, final. Let it be known under moon and pack bond that Leora of no standing is rejected as my mate. Something inside her shattered. The bond severed violently, leaving behind a raw, aching wound that stole her breath and sense alike. She curled inward instinctively, clutching at her chest as if she could hold herself together. No one helped her. Guards stepped forward, not to lift her up but to drag her away. Remove her, Kalen ordered, already turning his back. She has no place here. The snow fell heavier as they hauled her through the gates, out of the warmth of firelight and into the frozen night beyond. The iron doors slammed shut behind her. The sound echoed. Final. Leora stumbled forward, boots slipping, breath ragged, pain screaming through her veins. The courtyard lights faded behind her, replaced by endless white and the howl of the wind. She made it only a few steps before her strength gave out. Her legs folded beneath her, and she collapsed into the snow. Cold swallowed her whole. As darkness crept in, Leora barely registered the faint tremor beneath the ground, or the distant howls answering one another deep within the forest. But the wolves did. The cold did not strike all at once. It crept, first into Leora's fingers, numbing them until they felt like stone, then into her toes, her calves, her knees, slow, merciless, patient. Snow pressed against her lashes, melting and refreezing, turning her tears into ice. She tried to stand. Her legs betrayed her immediately. Pain surged through her chest again, not sharp like before, but hollow now, as if something vital had been ripped out and left behind an echo. The rejection wound pulsed with every heartbeat, spreading weakness through her limbs. She gasped for air that burned her lungs. "No," she whispered hoarsely, "not here." The Frostville gates loomed behind her, massive and unforgiving. Beyond them lay warmth, shelter, fire. She dragged herself forward, palms scraping against frozen ground, leaving thin streaks of red where her skin split open. No one came. The storm worsened. Snow fell sideways now, wind howling through the valley like a living thing. Her cloak, thin and frayed, offered no protection. It clung to her body, soaked and heavy, stealing heat with every passing second. Leora staggered upright again, forcing her legs to move. One step, then another. Her vision blurred, darkening at the edges. She stumbled blindly toward the forest, the only shelter she could imagine, branches clawing at her face and arms as if testing whether she was worth saving. She slipped. The ground vanished beneath her, and she tumbled down a shallow slope, landing hard in a drift of snow. The impact drove the breath from her lungs. She lay there staring up at the pale, merciless sky. This was how it ended, she realized distantly. Not with ceremony. Not with dignity. Just cold. Memories flickered, the laughter, the way Kalen had turned his back, the pack's silence. Worse than the rejection was how quickly they had accepted it, as if she had always been disposable. Her wolf stirred weakly. Not to fight. To curl up and disappear. "I'm sorry," Leora whispered aloud, not sure to whom. "I tried." Her eyelids fluttered. The snow thickened around her, settling into her hair, her clothes, her skin. Each breath grew slower, heavier, as exhaustion dragged her downward. Then, a sound. Low. Distant. A howl. Her eyes snapped open, heart jolting painfully. She strained to listen, but the wind swallowed it almost immediately. She laughed weakly, a brittle sound torn from her throat. "Hallucinations," she murmured. "I'm already freezing." Her body shuddered violently now, uncontrollable. Teeth chattered so hard her jaw ached. She tried to curl into herself, conserving what little warmth remained. Another howl rose. Closer. This time she felt it more than heard it, a vibration beneath the ground, rolling through her bones. The sound carried authority, not hunger. Wolves. Panic flared briefly, sharp and instinctive. Rogues would tear her apart. Pack wolves would finish what Frostville had started. She tried to crawl again, but her limbs refused to obey. Strength bled out of her like warmth into the snow. Dark shapes moved between the trees. Leora's breath hitched. Golden eyes blinked open in the darkness. Then another pair. And another. She squeezed her eyes shut, tears freezing on her lashes. "Please," she whispered, "I don't have anything left." Footsteps crunched softly through the snow, careful, deliberate. A shadow loomed near her, blocking the worst of the wind. The temperature around her shifted subtly, just enough for her to notice. Warmth. Confused, she cracked her eyes open. A massive wolf stood beside her. Its fur was dark as night, dusted with snow. Scars traced its flank and muzzle, marks of battles survived, not lost. Its golden eyes watched her with unsettling intelligence, not predatory, not cruel. Assessing. More wolves emerged from the trees, forming a loose semicircle around her collapsed form. They did not snarl, did not bare their teeth. They watched. The black wolf lowered its head, sniffing gently at her hair, her hands, her chest, lingering where the bond scar burned faintly beneath her skin. A low rumble vibrated through its chest. Not a threat. A question. Leora's lips trembled. "I won't fight," she whispered. "I can't." The wolf's ears flicked. It stepped closer, then lay down beside her, its massive body blocking the wind entirely. Another wolf followed, then another, their warmth radiating outward, forming a living barrier against the storm. Snow piled against their backs instead of her body. Leora stared in disbelief, tears streaming freely now. "They're not killing me," she breathed. Her shivering slowed just slightly. The black wolf huffed softly, a cloud of warm breath brushing her cheek. Its presence was overwhelming, powerful, steady, unyielding. Protective. Her eyelids grew heavy again, but this time the darkness felt different, not like death. Like sleep. As consciousness slipped, Leora felt something stir deep within her chest, beneath the pain, beneath the silence. A pulse. Ancient. Awake. And far away, in the warmth of Frostville's stone halls, Alpha King Kalen Frostborn suddenly stiffened where he stood. A sharp, unfamiliar ache twisted through his chest. For the first time since the rejection, his wolf howled in distress. Leora woke slowly, as if surfacing from deep water. Warmth surrounded her. Not the artificial heat of fire or stone walls, but something living, steady, breathing, pulsing around her like a heartbeat that was not her own. For a moment, confusion clouded her thoughts. The last thing she remembered was snow, pain, and the terrible certainty that she had been abandoned to die. She inhaled sharply. The air smelled of pine, frost, and fur. Her eyes flew open. She was lying in a hollow formed by massive bodies. Wolves lay around her in a wide circle, their thick fur interlocked, their backs dusted white with snow. They were positioned deliberately, each one angled to block the wind, forming a living barrier between her and the storm. A nest. For her. Leora sucked in a breath that turned into a soft gasp. She tried to sit up, panic flaring, but immediately a deep rumble vibrated through the ground beneath her. Not a growl. A warning. Stay. Her body froze. The black wolf from the night before lifted its head. Up close, it was even larger than she remembered, shoulders broad, muscles rippling beneath dark fur, golden eyes sharp with awareness. Scars traced its body, marks of battles survived. This was no rogue scavenger. This was a leader. The wolf held her gaze, unblinking. Slowly, Leora lowered herself back into the warmth of the nest. The rumble faded. The wolves relaxed again, some closing their eyes, others remaining alert, ears twitching at distant sounds. "They saved me," she whispered. Her voice sounded small in the vast forest, but no one mocked her. No one laughed. For the first time in her life, silence felt kind. Time passed strangely. The storm eased, snow falling softer now, drifting lazily through the trees. Leora's body trembled as feeling returned to her fingers and toes, painful but welcome. Hunger followed. A deep, aching hunger that curled her stomach inward. She shifted slightly, wincing as the rejection wound flared faintly in her chest. Her hand drifted there instinctively. The black wolf noticed immediately. It stood and padded away into the trees. Two others followed without hesitation. Leora watched them disappear, heart pounding. 1,000 fears raced through her mind, that they wouldn't return, that she had imagined everything, that the warmth would vanish and the cold would reclaim her. But minutes later, they came back. The black wolf dropped a freshly killed hare at the edge of the nest. Leora stared at it. For a long moment, she didn't move. "You brought me food," she murmured. The white wolf sat nearby, calm blue eyes watching her patiently, not demanding, waiting. She swallowed hard and pushed herself up, ignoring the ache in her limbs. Her hands shook as she reached for the hare. She had never hunted, never taken a life. I'll do it properly," she whispered, more to the animal than the wolves. She worked clumsily, hands numb, stomach twisting with guilt, but the wolves did not rush her, did not judge her. When she finished, they dragged the remains away, leaving her to eat in peace. Strength seeped back into her slowly. With it came awareness. The forest felt different now, closer, listening. As Leora finished eating, a strange warmth bloomed beneath her skin, not the sharp pain of the bond wound, but something gentler, broader. It spread outward from her chest, pulsing in time with her heartbeat. She gasped softly, pressing her palms together. Silver light flickered briefly beneath her skin. Gone almost instantly. But the wolves felt it. Every single one of them stiffened. Then one by one, they lowered their heads. Leora froze, panic surging. "No, no, please don't do that," she whispered frantically. I'm just an omega." The black wolf stepped forward and bowed deeper than the rest. "Reverence." Her breath caught painfully in her throat. "I don't have a wolf," she whispered. "They said I was empty." The forest answered. A low hum vibrated through the ground, subtle but undeniable. Snow slid from branches overhead. The air thickened, charged with something ancient. Inside her chest, something shifted. Not a wolf's howl. Something older. Leora cried out softly as energy surged through her veins, not violent, not overwhelming, but recognizing, as if the forest itself had finally found what it had been searching for. The silver glow returned, stronger this time, tracing faint lines beneath her skin like moonlit veins. The wolves did not fear it. They moved closer. A sudden sound cut through the moment, footsteps. Voices. Humans. Leora's heart slammed violently against her ribs. She turned toward the sound just as shapes appeared between the trees, Frostville scouts, armed and wary. There, one whispered, "I told you I smelled her." The wolves reacted instantly. They surged forward as one, forming a solid wall between Leora and the intruders, teeth bared, eyes blazing. The black wolf stepped to the front. It did not snarl. It stood. Dominance rolled outward like a physical force. The scouts faltered. "This isn't Frostville territory," one muttered nervously. The black wolf growled, low, powerful, final. The scouts backed away. They ran. Silence returned. Leora sank to her knees, shaking. "They chose me," she whispered, awe and fear tangled together. The black wolf turned to her, golden eyes steady. "Yes." And far away, in the stone halls of Frostville, Alpha King Kalen Frostborn dropped to one knee without knowing why. His wolf howled in grief. Kalen Frostborn had never fallen to his knees before. Not in battle. Not before elders. Not before the moon goddess herself. Yet the moment the howl ripped through his chest, raw, broken, unmistakable, his body betrayed him. He staggered in the great hall of Frostville, one hand clutching his ribs as if something inside him had been torn loose. The stone floor rushed up, and before anyone could react, the Alpha King was on one knee, breath ragged, vision swimming. "My king," a beta shouted, rushing forward. Kalen waved him away sharply, teeth clenched. The pain was not physical, not entirely. It was deeper, older, a grief his wolf had not known how to name until now. "She lives," his wolf whispered. Kalen's golden eyes widened. "No," he growled aloud, "that bond was severed." "You severed it," the wolf replied, "not the moon." Kalen rose slowly, fury and confusion twisting together inside him. He had rejected Leora publicly, cleanly, formally. The bond should have died. Yet it hadn't. It lingered like a ghost wound, aching whenever the wind howled through the valley. Scouts began returning before nightfall. Their reports were fragmented, shaken. "We found tracks," one said, "but not hers alone." "Wolves," another whispered, "too many." "And they weren't hostile," a third added, voice unsteady. "They let us leave." The elders exchanged looks. "Unclaimed wolves don't do that," one murmured. Kalen's jaw tightened. "Where?" "The Frostwood," the scout replied, "deep." A silence fell. The Frostwood was ancient, older than Frostville itself. No pack ruled there. Wolves that entered rarely returned unchanged. "She should be dead," Kalen said quietly. But doubt had already taken root. Meanwhile, deep within the Frostwood, Leora knelt beside a wounded wolf. Its leg was twisted unnaturally, blood staining the snow beneath it. The wolf whined softly, pain clouding its eyes. "I don't know if I can help," Leora whispered, hands hovering uselessly. "I've never healed anything like this." The white wolf nudged her forward gently. "Try." She swallowed and placed her palms over the injury. The pulse answered instantly. Silver light spilled from her hands, warm and soothing, flowing into torn flesh and shattered bone. Leora gasped as the energy surged through her, powerful but controlled, guided by instinct she didn't remember learning. The wolf cried out once, then went still. Moments later it stood. Whole. The wolves erupted into howls, not of dominance but of recognition. Leora fell back breathless, tears streaming freely down her cheeks. "I didn't mean to," she whispered. "I just wanted to help." The black wolf lowered his head to hers, pressing his forehead gently against her brow. "Chosen." The word echoed through her bones. That night rogues came. Not to attack. To kneel. They emerged cautiously from the trees, scarred, wary, broken wolves who had lived too long without pack or home. When they saw her standing among alphas, silver light faintly glowing beneath her skin, they dropped to their knees. "She heals," one whispered. "She survived rejection," another said. "She is protected by the forest." Stories spread faster than snowstorms. By dawn, the Frostwood pulsed with howls from every direction. Back in Frostville, Kalen stood before the elders, jaw clenched, hands curled into fists. "She has wolves," he said. "So did the first Luna," an elder replied quietly. Kalen froze. "That is myth," he snapped. "Is it," the elder countered, "or history you chose to forget?" Kalen turned away, heart pounding. He remembered old carvings, old songs, a Luna who united packs without crown or sword. An Omega. The truth settled heavy and cold in his chest. "I was wrong," Kalen whispered. For the first time, the words did not feel like weakness. They felt like fact. As dawn broke over the Frostwood, Leora stood beneath pale light, surrounded by wolves, dozens now, then hundreds, drawn by something they did not question. She lifted her eyes to the sky. "I don't want power," she whispered. "I only wanted to live." The forest answered anyway. And far away, Alpha King Kalen Frostborn realized that by rejecting her, he had not saved his throne. He had endangered it. Kalen Frostborn did not announce his departure. He left Frostville before dawn, the sky still bruised purple with night, the mountains silent beneath layers of snow. No horns sounded. No banners were raised. He wore no crown, no armor etched with victories, only a heavy cloak and the weight of a truth he could no longer deny. Behind him, the pack watched in uneasy silence. An Alpha King did not go alone into the Frostwood. But Kalen did. He shifted at the forest's edge, bones cracking as his great wolf burst free, fur silver-black and scarred, breath steaming in the cold. He ran without rest, following the pull that burned like a brand beneath his ribs, not the mate bond he had severed, but something older, more demanding. The forest welcomed him with hostility. Branches creaked and bent as he passed. The wind carried low growls, warnings whispered through bark and root. This was not his territory. He felt it in every step, every breath. Then he smelled her. Leora. Not fear, not weakness. Moonlight and frost, warmth beneath snow. Kalen slowed. He emerged into a clearing and stopped dead. Wolves filled it. Not a pack. An army. They stood shoulder to shoulder, fur bristling, eyes glowing gold, blue, silver. Alphas, betas, rogues, lone wolves who bowed to no throne, all united, all facing him. At their center stood Leora. She was no longer collapsed in snow. She stood upright, calm, her presence quiet but absolute. Her dress was simple, mendied, her hair loose around her shoulders. Yet silver light pulsed faintly beneath her skin, threading through her veins like living moonlight. Kalen shifted back into human form slowly, deliberately showing no threat. The wolves snarled. One step forward, and they would tear him apart. Kalen dropped to one knee. The sound echoed through the clearing. "I was wrong," he said hoarsely. "I judged what I did not understand." Leora did not move. The black wolf stepped forward, blocking Kalen's view entirely. Kalen bowed his head lower. I do not come to claim you, I come to acknowledge my failure. Silence pressed heavy. Then Leora raised her hand. The wolves parted. She stepped forward, stopping just beyond his reach. You rejected me, she said softly. Her voice carried through the clearing without effort. Not in doubt, not in fear, but in pride. Kalen swallowed, yes. You watched them laugh, she continued, and you let them believe I was nothing. Kalen's breath shuddered. I did. Silver light flared brighter beneath her skin. The wolves did not laugh, Leora said. They listened. The wolves bowed. Kalen's wolf whimpered inside him. I do not seek your forgiveness, she went on, nor your throne. She turned slightly, gesturing to the wolves around her. They chose me without condition. Kalen bowed until his forehead touched the snow. Then I release you, he whispered, from Frostville, from me. Leora studied him for a long moment, not with anger, but with clarity. Go back, she said. Tell them what you saw. Kalen rose slowly, chest hollow, soul laid bare. As he turned away, the wolves closed ranks behind her, not as guards, but as family. By the time Kalen reached the edge of the forest, the truth was undeniable. He had not lost a mate. He had lost a queen. Kalen Frostborn returned to Frostville at dusk. The gates opened slowly, iron groaning as if reluctant to admit him. The courtyard that had once roared with laughter now stood eerily silent. Wolves lined the walls, sensing the storm that had followed their king home, a storm not of snow, but of truth. Kalen walked through them without meeting their eyes. He climbed the stone steps to the dais where he had once stood tall and unquestioned. The same braziers burned, the same banners hung, yet the air felt different, thinner, heavier, as if the pack itself held its breath. Summon everyone, Kalen said. The moon assembly reconvened within the hour. Elders, betas, warriors, omegas pressed together at the edges just as before, but this time no one laughed, no one whispered. Kalen stood before them, unarmed. I rejected the moon's chosen, he said, voice steady and unadorned. Not because she was weak, but because I was blind. A ripple of shock moved through the crowd. She lives, he continued. She survived the storm, the rejection, and the frostwood itself. Gasps erupted. She was not claimed by death, Kalen said. She was claimed by wolves. The elders exchanged grave looks. I am Alpha King, Kalen said slowly, and I was wrong. The words landed heavier than any roar. I stripped her of protection. I allowed her to be mocked, and by doing so I nearly destroyed Frostville. Murmurs grew louder now, fear, awe, realization. She heals, Kalen added. She unites, wolves bow to her without command. An elder stepped forward, voice trembling. The Silver Luna. Kalen nodded, yes. Silence crashed down. Outside the walls, howls rose, not one but many. Different tones, different packs. The guards ran to the parapets. They're gathering, someone whispered, all of them. Night fell. The forest answered. The howls did not stop. They rolled through the valley like thunder, echoing off mountains and stone walls, vibrating through bone and blood alike. Frostville had heard wolves before, battle cries, territorial warnings, morning calls, but never this. This was not chaos. This was a summons. From the parapets, guards stared into the darkness beyond the gates, their torches trembling in their hands. Golden eyes appeared first, scattered points of light in the snow-draped forest. Then shapes followed, massive forms moving with discipline, not hunger. Wolves, dozens at first, then hundreds, then more than anyone could count. The gates of Frostville had never faced an army like this, not one of steel and banners, but of fur and fangs and ancient loyalty. Within the walls, panic spread. Rogues, someone whispered. No, another breathed. Look how they move. They're organized. At the front of the gathering wolves, a path opened. Leora stepped forward. She walked barefoot upon the snow, yet left no blood behind. The cold did not bite her. Silver light flowed faintly beneath her skin, illuminating her like moonlight given flesh. Her hair streamed loose down her back, stirred gently by the wind. She did not carry weapons. She did not need them. The wolves parted for her instinctively, lowering their heads as she passed. Alphas bowed. Rogues flattened their ears in submission. Even the largest beasts shifted aside to give her room. On the walls, Frostville watched in stunned silence. "She's real," someone whispered. "The Silver Luna." Kalen stood at the front of the courtyard, unmoving. He felt her before he saw her, the air itself tightening, his wolf bowing inside him without command. When his eyes finally met hers across the snow-covered expanse, the world seemed to still. She stopped just beyond the gates. The wolves halted behind her, forming a living horizon. "Open the gates," Kalen ordered quietly. No one questioned him. Iron groaned as Frostville's gates slowly parted. Leora did not hurry. She stepped through the threshold alone. Behind her, the wolves remained outside, waiting. The courtyard that had once laughed at her now fell to its knees. Not because she commanded it, because they could not stand before her. "I did not come for your throne," Leora said calmly, her voice carrying without effort. "I came because the wolves called me here." Her eyes swept the crowd, elders, warriors, omegas, and none could meet her gaze. "I was rejected here," she continued, "mocked, cast out to die." Shame rippled through the pack. "But I lived," Leora said, "not because I was strong, but because I was chosen." She turned her gaze to Kalen. He lowered his head. "I will not rule Frostville," Leora said. "I will not take what was never meant to be mine." A breathless silence followed. "But I will not be hidden again." Silver light flared brighter around her, and outside the walls, the wolves howled as one. "I walk with the wolves," she said, "and they walk with me." She turned toward the gates once more. Kalen stepped forward, dropping to one knee before her, not as an alpha king, but as a wolf acknowledging a greater truth. The pack followed, one by one. The courtyard knelt. Leora did not look back. She walked out of Frostville and into legend. Behind her, the wolves surged forward, surrounding her once more, not an army, but a family. And the world changed. They stopped laughing after that. Not immediately, legends never erase cruelty in a single night, but the sound never echoed the same way again in Frostville. The courtyard where mockery had once shattered an Omega's heart became a place spoken of only in hushed voices, as if the stones themselves remembered their shame. They told the story for generations. How a rejected Omega collapsed in the snow, left to die beneath a merciless sky. How the Alpha King turned away, believing strength could be measured by rank and roar. How the forest listened when the pack did not. They said the wolves felt her before they saw her. That the frostwood stirred as she fell. That ancient bonds, older than crowns and councils, woke when her blood touched the snow. Some claimed the moon goddess herself wept silver light into the ground that night. Leora never returned to Frostville. She did not need to. She built no throne, raised no walls, claimed no territory. Her court was the forest, her crown the moon, her authority written not in law but in loyalty. Wolves followed her not because she commanded them, but because they trusted her. Packs began to change. Alphas who ruled by fear found their wolves restless, distant, unresponsive. Omegas once ignored were suddenly listened to. Healers were valued. Silence was no longer mistaken for weakness. And always, when injustice rose too high, when pride threatened to tear packs apart, wolves would lift their heads and howl, a sound that reminded them of what they had almost lost. Kalen Frostborn ruled differently after that. He remained Alpha King, but he never again laughed at what he did not understand. He listened more, spoke less. And when the snow fell thickest each year, he would stand alone at the edge of the frostwood, bow his head, and remember the night the wolves chose someone else. They said he never took another mate. Not out of punishment, but respect. As for Leora, sightings of her became legend. A silver-eyed woman walking barefoot through winter, wolves at her side. A gentle healer whose touch closed wounds and quieted rage. A presence that calmed battles before blood was spilled. Some swore they saw her kneel beside dying rogues, offering warmth instead of judgment. Others claimed she vanished into moonlight itself, becoming something more than wolf, more than queen. But every version of the story ended the same way. With this truth, Strength is not proven by who stands above you, but by who kneels beside you when you fall. And so the world remembered. They laughed when the Alpha rejected her. By dawn, the Alpha King was kneeling, and the wolves had already chosen their queen.